All right, welcome back. As these wildfires spread across Southern California, we know that many environmentalists right now are sounding the alarm on the role that climate change is playing in fueling some of these fires. Joining me with more on this is Chad Hanson, who's a wildfire scientist and fire ecologist with the John Muir Project and author of Smokescreen: Debunking Wildfire Myths to Save Our Forests and Our Climate. Is certainly a worthy cause. So thank you for being here with us. And look, we've been talking a lot about how we knew this wind event was coming. We've also been talking a lot about how it impacts people that live in that, urban wildland interface. And we're seeing that play out in a really scary way out here. So as you watch this, what in particular made this so dangerous? Is it really just the combination of all those factors in this moment, also considering the low humidity?
Yeah, it is. It's a combination of factors that are all coming together at the same time and creating these really dangerous conditions. We have a fall and early winter where there's been very little precipitation. We have these really dry winds coming at incredible speeds with the Santa Ana winds coming off the deserts and coming down those canyons at hurricane force. And we have communities in the way, and we have these fires that are close to communities, and many communities have already been severely impacted. So yeah, it is that kind of circumstance that doesn't come along that often, fortunately, but it is happening more often because of climate change. That is a factor here.
And so when you're looking at climate change and you believe that that's a factor here, are you looking particularly at the fire starts, or are you looking at the increasing wind gusts here? I mean, they clocked a gust at 100 miles an hour out here today.
Yeah, I mean, some of the gusts, even for Santa Ana winds, some of the gusts that we're seeing are way on the high end. I mean, this is a rare event. But what I'm talking about mostly is the increase in the area that burns. Ignitions can be a factor, but also just the area that burns. When you have the right conditions, because it's dry, because you have the winds, you're going to get larger fires typically, and more communities impacted for a given ignition. And I think that's what we're seeing right now. And so, for me, it really just underscores the fact that we have to reimagine our policies and our approach to wildfires with regard to community safety. And we need to focus directly on protecting communities through proven methods that we know work, as opposed to trying to manage wildlands and manage vegetation, which does not work.
Well, so let's talk about a little bit of that management here, right? There's a huge debate that seems to be growing about how to manage our forests in terms of logging in particular, as well as the idea that, a fire moving through a forest where nobody lives is a cleansing thing. It's actually a good thing. And there's a lot of debate about how to properly manage that.
Yeah, this is a key thing. So our federal wildland fire policies really kind of came from the mid and early 20th century, and it came from this notion that fires are a forest thing, and if a forest is denser, it's going to burn more intensely, and so that's really where it's at. And if we can remove a bunch of trees from the forest, it'll stop the fires from reaching a town that might be many miles away. The problem is that the current science just doesn't support that. What it indicates is these are weather and climate events. They're driven by weather conditions, hot, dry, windy conditions, or at least warm, dry, windy conditions. And in fact, oftentimes removing trees from forests actually reduces the windbreak effect that a denser forest has, and allows the winds to sweep through the forest even faster and spread the flames faster, which means the fire reaches the town even faster. But the other factor is that most of the communities that are at greatest risk from wildfires, like most of those in Southern California, they're really not forest communities. They're not in the forest or even very close to a forest. They're in grassland or chaparral or oak savanna. And that's where the greatest risk is. And so really we're trying to kind of fit a square peg into a round hole, taking these mid-20th century policies and trying to fit them into a 21st century world where we have the climate crisis and communities in harm's way.
Right, and especially when more and more people are moving into that wildland interface, and it's becoming more and more dangerous. Chad Hanson, thank you for being here with us today. We appreciate your time.